My name's Laura G. So the collection is called ABC, which is an acronym for American Born Chinese. I'm second generation, so this whole thing came about just kind of reflecting on past experience, I guess. Prior to college, I really didn't understand what like the acronym ABC was, because I honestly felt like, I don't know how to say it, because it's like a specific word. It's like body dysmorphia, but in a way that when I looked in the mirror, I didn't associate myself as that person. So my grandparents came over in the 40s, which is about the time when like civil rights was pretty heavy, and like being an immigrant from China, like there was a lot of laws against Asian immigrants moving and immigrating to America. So it was a touchy time for them, and so my grandma and my grandpa on my mom's side, so they couldn't get married in Chicago, which is really weird because it means that Indiana was more progressive than Chicago. Yeah, so they got married, they moved to the suburbs, and then they had their family. And I guess my grandma, like, this has never actually been something that she said to me, also because she doesn't speak English very well, but I think when they started their family, basically all of their kids were born before the Civil Rights Act was actually enacted in '64. Everybody was born like prior to '63. So I think she made a lot of really tough choices to assimilate into American culture. And so we lost a lot of our Chinese heritage, and like we don't celebrate traditions to the fullest extent. Like she really tried to learn English, and this is the same on my dad's side. It's just less documented, or like my dad doesn't really recall that much. His memory isn't great, so that's why I'm mainly piggybacking off of my mom's side. It's because she has a great memory and she remembers all of this. But so she was raised like anybody else in the 60s, I guess. She was on cheerleading. She worked at her family's carryout. She went to Purdue, and she's actually a pioneer for her time because she graduated in mechanical engineering in the 80s, which is like really odd as a woman and as a woman of color, so it's amazing that she did that. For most of my childhood, like I was raised, well, we were born in a southern suburb of Chicago. The majority of the population was African American, so it was really odd when we moved in kindergarten to where basically I grew up, which is Naperville, and the population is mainly white and mainly Asian, and you'd think that I would fit in because we were raised like we had American culture and like we were white. My sister will tell you, like, she really honestly thinks she genuinely is white. She only uses European products. When I was growing up, we're second generation Chinese, so most of the people that I grew up with were first, and so their parents probably moved over in the 90s, which means that they didn't really get any of the whole backlash of being a colored person or any of the civil rights things that were like repercussions for people of our skin tone. And so they have a lot of their culture, and they have a lot of heritage still in them, and they can like speak Chinese, they still celebrate things, they speak Chinese to their parents. And so like growing up for a really long time, I just never felt like I fit in because I'm not white, so I can't really relate to the white people, and I'm not, it feels like we're not Chinese, so you can't really relate to them. So I was always kind of like in a weird limbo, but it really kind of struck me when I was in college. I don't know, sorry, it's really emotional. He was like, "Oh, do you speak Chinese?" And I was like, "I mean, yeah, because I took it in high school, so a little bit." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And so he starts speaking all this Chinese, like 3 or 4 sentences, and most of those words, like, honestly, I don't know because my Chinese is literally at like a 3rd grade level. And I was like I heard something that I kind of understood, and I said, basically, "I don't know," in Chinese back to him. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he just like, I don't know, him and the person I was with just kind of like laughed about it, and it wasn't, that's never happened to me before, and it was just like it was a moment that I will never forget in my life, but it's just like, it just made me feel like I was this alien, and a lot of the times I do feel that way. So the whole collection is basically designed around this idea of having this parallel universe where like having assimilated is okay. A couple years ago, there was this post about somebody who's like Caucasian who wore one to her prom, and yeah, and she, like, honestly, I don't mind if you wear it, but the way she was posing wasn't cool, and it just kind of made me feel terrible reading that, because I wanted to wear a cheongsam to one of my high school dances, like a long time ago, obviously. And my sister was like, don't do that, you'll get made fun of. So it's just like, I don't know. The whole collection is inspired by this like idea of having it be okay that like all these amazing fabrics are translated into a way that's wearable for, I don't know.
For anyone.
Yeah, because I still don't feel comfortable wearing like a cheongsam to a formal event, because I feel like I know it's my culture and it's like a right that you're allowed to have it because you're part of that race, but it feels like I'm being racist, and it feels like I'm not being culturally appropriate since it's not something that I grew up wearing and like whatever. So yeah, but yeah, so I think I don't know, this collection is really inspired by that idea that like it's okay to be who you are, kind of. I've always wanted acceptance and like understanding, and those kind of moments where you feel like you're not accepted or understood just like really consume you for a really long time, and this collection is kind of like that release.